What's going on, everybody? I'm back and I want to talk about Cleanspark's mining update. Now, this came out a couple of days ago. I just haven't had a chance to cover it. We're going to talk about their mining numbers. We're going to compare month over month. And we're also going to talk about Cleanspark and Bitcoin on the chart. And we're going to talk about some news circulating around Bitcoin right now. Now, if you guys get something useful out of this, I definitely appreciate your support by pushing the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. And if you're interested in any stocks or cryptos, check out the links down below and let's get started. And first off, let's go right into Cleanspark's mining updates. We'll look over December and January. So in January's update, it looks like they increased their machines by a few hundred. However, the Bitcoin mined in the month went down. In January, we saw 577 Bitcoin mined, whereas in December, we saw 720. And this is largely due to the difficulty level increasing. Now's the time that a lot of the miners are aggressively growing their hash rate. Everyone wants a piece of Bitcoin in anticipation of the halving. One thing that I see as a big positive here, personally at least, is they hardly sold any Bitcoin in the month of January. They sold 6.4 Bitcoin in January at an average of roughly 44,800 per Bitcoin. Selling this Bitcoin brought them about $286,000, whereas in December they sold 293 Bitcoin at an average of 42,700, and the sales of that Bitcoin gave them basically 12.5 million. I'm right now personally in the camp of try to hodl as much coin as you can. I think looking at it as a company perspective, these Bitcoin miners holding this Bitcoin right now, at least over the next couple of months, I think will play out drastically in their favor. That is, of course, as long as Bitcoin rises in value over the next couple of months, which most of us generally expect. We have the Bitcoin halving coming in only a few months, and so far this has brought price appreciation 100% of the time. Things could always one day change, but I don't expect that in this cycle at the least. Now, I also want to go into this mining update a little deeper. We do have some more details going over their expansion here. And first off, some quotes from the CEO, Zach Bradford. "I'm excited to announce that we expect energization to begin at our Sandersville expansion next week, with approximately 4.6 exahash of machines fully hashing by mid-month. I'm also pleased to announce that permitting is underway to double the hash rate at our Dalton campus to 1.6 exahash per second. We have a unique relationship with the city of Dalton, which owns and operates its own utility, whereby we're compensated to operate as the city's only interruptible load during times of emergency power needs. We view this as a best-in-class partnership and as an example of some of the creative ways that Bitcoin miners are working with utilities to improve grid performance, even in regulated markets like Georgia." And touching on the Sandersville expansion once more, crews are racking machines in preparation for a February 6 energization date. The first 100 megawatts are expected to be fully live by mid-February, delivering an expected hash rate of 4.6 exahash per second, whereas the remaining 50 megawatts of the expansion is undergoing equipment testing by the manufacturer. Now, let me know what you guys think about this mining update. I'd say it's kind of a mixed bag. While we did see a decrease in daily production and a decrease for the overall month compared to December, I am glad that they're focusing on hodling rather than selling. And of course, we also have this expansion to look forward to in this month. But let me know if you guys are glad with this mining update or a bit disappointed here. I also want to touch on the charts for both Cleanspark and Bitcoin, and we're also going to look at some recent news here for Bitcoin. But before I get carried away, I do want to remind you guys that Cleanspark's earnings is coming out on February 8th. This is going to be a Thursday, and it's only a couple days from now. So stick around because I will be covering the news there when it drops. Now, if you want to look at Cleanspark's last mining update, I will leave it down below in the description for you, just so you can easily get to it. Now, looking at Bitcoin on the chart, I still see this 44,000 as kind of a crucial breaking point. If we can break this 44,000 area, I do think we can head towards our 52-week high. But really, it's a matter of breaking that 44,000. Bitcoin has maintained its recent uptrend that it started back in the end of January. So keep an eye on this general direction. If we break this trend line, I do think it's possible that we break 40,000. Also keep an eye on the 50 MA. It does look like we're finding a little difficulty to stay above it. And we did see this last time recently, kind of mid-January, where we tried to hold back over this 50 MA. We just failed it. We broke this ascending trend, and we saw a pretty quick drop from that. So if we fail this 50 MA, if we can't get back above it, if we find it as resistance, it is very possible that we break this ascending trend and head towards 40,000, if not break under 40,000. But I do think we're at a pretty important point here where either we're going to break 44,000 and go on a substantial run, or we're going to break this trend and retest 40,000. But I do think a movement in either direction is coming within the next couple of days. Bitcoin can only go sideways for so long till either the bulls or the bears take over, and then that creates the next direction, at least for the short term. Regardless of what Bitcoin does on the short term, I remain extremely bullish on Bitcoin this year. And like I've been saying, anytime this dips under 40,000 is a great buying opportunity from here on out. And the Bitcoin halving is only a little over 2 months away. You'd be surprised how quickly we get back to it. and how quickly the hype draws back in once we see that we're hitting yearly highs again. And just imagine the hype when we break all-time high, finally break over 70,000. That'll be when everyone's talking about Bitcoin. That'll be when the hype really draws in. Now I want to quickly touch on Cleanspark's chart before we talk about some recent Bitcoin news. And if we can get just a little more drop here, I do think we're going to fill this gap. And this gap will fill right about at 739. And if we get down there, watch for a bounce on this ascending trend. Cleanspark started taking this direction. So see how we perform on this line. If we break it, we're heading down towards probably the 100 EMA. But first a test of this 670 area. Now, if we get a bounce here and a fill of this gap, I do expect we're finally going to head to 950. If we can break that, we can get back into the 10s again. I think a lot of Cleanspark's movement here in the next couple of days is going to rely on earnings. If they give some good guidance, if they get a beat of revenue and EPS, I think we're heading back into the 10s. If they somehow miss revenue, which I personally don't expect, or if they're way off on their EPS and with some bad guidance, which I also don't expect, this can definitely come down, fill the gap, potentially fall even further. So I think it's crucially important to look out for earnings. I think earnings will dictate where Cleanspark goes for the next at least week or two. The market will be heavily watching earnings in regards to Cleanspark. And we also have a trial today in London. This is going to decide if Craig Wright, who's somebody that's been claiming that they're the one that was involved in the white paper, they're Satoshi Nakamoto, this is going to decide if this is actually true or not. Now this group or alliance called COPA, or Crypto Open Patent Alliance, basically is seeking a negative declaration on this trial. And they're arguing that this trial will conclusively show that Dr. Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto and will not be able to further threaten developers. Now I'll leave this down below for you because it is quite interesting. It has a timeline of Satoshi Nakamoto's disappearance, some general suspicions and things like that. And if you guys have seen this face before, there's actually someone named Satoshi Nakamoto. His name is literally Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto. However, he said he is not Satoshi. He is not the creator of Bitcoin. But just stay in tune to what's going on here, because I think if this Craig Wright is proven to not be Satoshi, I think Bitcoin and the market will see that as a good thing. I think Satoshi Nakamoto needs to remain sort of anonymous, because if we can definitively put a name behind Bitcoin, that just opens up a can of worms that we don't want to open, in my opinion. And last but not least, we have some potential selling pressure underway. Genesis is seeking to approve 1.6 billion in selling of Bitcoin and Ether Trust, and also Ethereum Classic, but that's a very small amount. But basically Genesis, who's a bankrupt crypto company, they filed a motion last Friday asking a US judge to approve a sale of 1.6 billion in GBTC, in Bitcoin, Ether, and Ethereum Classic. It holds 1.4 billion in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. It also holds 165 million in the Ethereum Trust and 38 million in the Grayscale Ethereum Classic Trust. And Genesis also wants an additional 31 million GBTC shares that they said they never got. So if the courts approve this selling, this is definitely going to bring a little bit of downward pressure for Bitcoin, wouldn't be surprising. But if you're looking at Bitcoin like most of us are, like I am, you're looking forward to a good opportunity to buy, potentially under 40,000. But let me know what you think about everything going on here. Also, what Bitcoin mining companies are you watching? Any recent mining updates you want me to cover, let me know. And how do you think Cleanspark will do on their upcoming earnings, only a few days away? Thanks as always for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.